All right, so in this one, we're going to take a trip through the spinal cord. With the spinal cord, its major job is just to get information either up to the brain or take commands from the brain down to the rest of the body. So we're going to have two major groups. We'll have ascending pathways. And if you're ascending, like going up the spinal cord, you're carrying sensory information. You're taking stuff up to the brain to be processed. Now, when you do that, you're going to organize the information based on the type of senses you're dealing with and where you want to route those. And so with that, there are different, I think of them as like elevators. There are different elevators that you can be assigned to go to the appropriate place in the brain. So we're going to first start with the spinal thalamic. With your spinal thalamic ascending tract, you're going to take information up to the thalamus. The thalamus is in charge of your attention. So this is going to be stuff that you want to grab your attention, like crude touch, pressure, pain, and temperature. Think of them as things that would distract you. If somebody comes up to you and like smacks you on the back, that would be a crude touch. You would be drawn to that. Or have you ever been in a situation where you're in a class trying to focus and it's too hot or it's too cold? That draws your attention. Or things like pain. Yeah, it's going to draw your attention. So I think of the spinal thalamic as, hey, we really need to focus on this. This is going to become very important information. We're going to route it to the thalamus and then draw our attention. Okay, so trick for remembering this one, and this is kind of ridiculous, but this is how I remembered it when I was first studying. I saw a video on YouTube fairly similar to this, and they did the itsy bitsy spider. This is gonna get ugly, and I apologize ahead of time. But the itsy bitsy spider went up the spinal thalamic tract, and in my head, I pictured the spider crawling up there, and it's like, ooh, I want to like pay attention to that. That's gonna creep me out. And so I remember that spinal thalamic is the attention grabber. It's the big stuff. Okay, another route you can take is spinocerebellar. Now pay attention to the wording on these. The first word in both of these is spinal, so it means you're starting at the spinal cord, and then you're going up to somewhere in the brain. So spinal thalamic went to the thalamus. Spinocerebellar, if you break that down, is going to the cerebellum. Remember, the cerebellum is for balance. So the information you're taking up there is to help you maintain balance. So we're talking about proprioception, which remember is knowing where your body is in its position. But this is specifically related to posture in those joints, knowing where they're at so you don't fall over. So keeping in mind the anatomy and the phys together, then you'll know what kind of information is going to be carried up from that one. Our posterior column is going to be more of the detail, adding in the things like fine touch, precise pressure, vibration. When we're dealing with proprioception here, it's just kind of more about knowing your limb position, not making sure you don't fall over. So if you kind of keep track of the three, so the way I like to think of this one, we have our spinal thalamic, this is our attention. This is like the big, like, uh-oh, we need to know what's going on here. So spinal thalamic is going to take attention up. If we have spinocerebellar, this is balance, going up to the cerebellum. And then if we're at our posterior column, this is our detail. And then also going up. So remember, these are all ascending. All right, so now what about information that's coming down? So if we're dealing with descending information, now we're dealing with motor. So we're going to take our commands from our brain. Now, specifically, we're talking about going from that primary motor cortex. We're issuing a command, and we're going to send that information down to the spinal cord, and then you want to come out at the layer near the muscles that you're going to be talking to. Now, you can separate out your descending commands into two major groups. You can have a direct pathway, and you can have an indirect pathway. Direct is conscious. This is that thing where I'm right now going, I want to write over here versus I want to write over here. I'm choosing and making that a very conscious decision on what muscles I'm going to move. Indirect are things like posture and muscle tone. It's the stuff that you're not thinking about. So like right now, as I'm talking to you, I'm not in the back of my head going, hold my head up, hold my head up, hold my head up. I'm not consciously coordinating these neck muscles, but there are signals coming down the spinal cord to say that. So I don't like flop around like a little rag doll all the time. So indirect is this, what we call subconscious. Now, with your direct and indirect, we can also split those up depending on anatomy. With the direct one, there is going to be a difference on where you send the information out of the central nervous system. Because if you think about conscious commands, it's not just talking to arms and legs, you also talk to facial muscles to do things like, I'm confused, or I'm sad, I'm angry. I don't even know if those are the right facial expressions. But to talk to like the muscle to lift my eyebrows, it doesn't make sense to leave from that primary motor cortex, which is right here, send that information all the way down to the neck, and then have a nerve come all the way back up. So instead, we're going to use cranial nerves to deliver that information from the brainstem. And so when we do that, we're going to use what we call a cortical bulbular tract. And all that means is you're just leaving out of the brainstem. And then if you come out of the spinal cord, we'll call it a cortical spinal. The name's telling you you're going from the cortex, that's where the command's getting started, and you're coming out at the spinal cord. So those would be the ones like if you're talking to a finger to wiggle it around. Now, with your indirect or subconscious stuff, you're going to, again, divide it by anatomy, but it's more about where your ultimate target is. So these are divided based on where you leave the central nervous system, so kind of where that motor neuron is starting. Here, you're going to divide based on where the motor neuron ends. So you'll have medial and lateral. Medial is going to be dealing with muscle tone to things that are close to the midline, close to the central part of your body. So it'll be dealing with more towards torso, closer or proximal parts of limbs. Lateral is going to be dealing with more distant things. So things, if you think lateral, moving away, would be things like fingers and toes. So you're dealing with more details out that way. All right, everyone. I hope that helps kind of organize your spinal cord and understanding that at least you have some stuff going up, some stuff going down. They have assigned pathways, and those pathways get named based on either anatomy or the kind of information they're carrying. There are others, but these at least get you through most of them.